in town.
Good evening, AAAS staff, honored guests, and fellow fellows. My name is Maureen McCarthy, and I'm honored to be part of the Science and Technology Fellows 40th Anniversary Celebration. I'm sorry that I can't be with you in person for this tribute to one of the nation's transformative programs in bridging science and policy making. I am chairing a Blue Ribbon expert panel today in lovely Lake Tahoe on ecosystem resiliency and environmental policy. As the first Defense Policy Fellow, I worked in the Office of the Secretary of Defense as a technical advisor for the first Strategic Arms Reduction Treaty, START. I came to Washington, D.C. in 1997 as a scientist with a keen interest and a brash naivete about national security policy making, and I left 12 years later with a deep appreciation for AAAS's role in bringing science, and more importantly scientists, into all areas of government. The most valuable lesson I learned as a fellow is that it is not only what we know, but also how we communicate what we know that makes scientists able to transcend politics and inform policy. After 12 years advising national security policymakers and managing science, technology, and intelligence programs for the Departments of Defense, Energy, Homeland Security, the administration of President George W. Bush, and the intelligence community, I came to appreciate that science-based policy making is as critical at the local, state, and regional levels as it is for the federal government. Science, when in service to the nation, is invaluable in helping governments at all levels anticipate and respond to evolving and emerging threats. As a fellow and former fellow, I have had many opportunities to further the AAAS tradition of employing science in service to the nation and the world. After the breakup of the Soviet Union, the parties to the first START treaty, in addition to the United States, were the four remaining nuclear weapons states: the Russian Federation, Ukraine, Kazakhstan, and Belarus. Signing a treaty is easy. Ensuring compliance is a long, tedious, and technical process. Being a rocket scientist helped, but negotiating telemetry protocols through translation with 4 countries took AAAS training and a lot of mentoring from colleagues in the interagency. Transparency builds trust among the parties, but what we share and how we share it is key to protecting national security. Science, diplomacy, and national security met at the intersection of every negotiation. September 11th changed lives, nations, and the world. The Amerithrax attack that followed changed science and the role of science in national security. Science was at the forefront of our response to the events of 2001. New fields were born. Microbial bioforensics is one example, and policymakers clamored for more science to make us safe. Homeland security required new technology to meet the demands of civilian society as operations moved from battlefields and military targets to subways and airports. The lifeblood of the country, the movement of people, goods, and commerce, could not be impeded, but must be safe. Demands for a safer homeland were insatiable, and the age of Homeland Security science and technology was born. Katrina, and later Superstorm Sandy, taught us that not all threats to the homeland are man-made. Nature may be our greatest emerging threat. State and local jurisdictions are at the front line of natural disasters, and they need science that is accessible and usable to responders on the ground. Science-informed policy making is the cornerstone of natural resource protection. Climate change and wildland urbanization is driving the scientific community to develop new approaches to protecting natural resources while supporting economic development in urban and rural areas. In conclusion, AAAS is to be commended for 40 years of bringing science to the forefront of federal policy making. And just as important, for 40 years of teaching scientists that it is not just what we know, but how we communicate what we know that allows us to transcend politics and effectively inform policy making. Enjoy your evening, and here's to 40 more years.